Hello. I'm wondering if anyone's going to show up today because I didn't remind anyone, but it's 1 o'clock Sydney time. It is Monday, the 6th of April, and it's another week of interesting times. So, how was your weekend? I discovered something kind of interesting this weekend. I actually did fun work things. I did a Q&A, little webinar for lovely Anna from Haven for her members. And I also took part in a group herbal discussion online and various fun online things on the weekend. But what I discovered was, while I've got a very good excuse, running an online business, being online during the week, perhaps I've got to start to reclaim the weekends. Have you found, if you're working from home, that you are starting to get a bit screen meetinged out? I'm watching this really interesting roller coaster that people are on with adjusting to a new normal. And the amount of screen time is certainly one of them. So what my thoughts are today about how we can go old school and analog, particularly with 4 days coming up for Easter, which is going to be an interesting Easter this year for, people who usually go camping or go away or have a feast or gather with family. Easter may be interesting. So I want you to start thinking now. Hello, Helen. I want you to start thinking now about the old school analog things you can do in your non-work time. So Helen just joining the live reminds me of one of the things that she may be doing. It's a good time for crafting. If you have the implements that you need, maybe you can crochet, sew, embroider, knit, make a rag rug if you've kind of gone through and done a bit of a Marie Kondoing of your excess clothes. But what are you going to do with them? You can't really take them to an op shop right now. So how about making something out of rags, or repurposing things, or sewing if you have a sewing machine, and perhaps, like my lovely friend Karina does, will turn a beautiful piece of fabric from a piece of clothing that's worn in places into old-fashioned napkins, so you can reuse instead of using paper products when you're eating. So crafting's a really obvious one. For the book people, I really want to encourage people, old school like me, to perhaps start reading. Totally crafting and gardening, Helen. Yeah, absolutely. One of my things that I want to do is, unfortunately, all my novels that I'm reading at the moment are on a Kindle, which is actually on my iPad app, which is another screen. So I'm trying to go through books that I haven't read for a while, including non-fiction. So I just now grabbed a random cookbook off my shelf. Now, almost all my cookbooks will have books marked, recipes marked. That 99% of the time I haven't cooked. This one goes back to, sort of share a bit of my past, July 1991. The thing that I love most about looking at my old books is, Jane just joined. One thing I love most about looking at my old books is what I'm using for bookmarks. I did find a stash of late 80s Melbourne clipped tram tickets that were wonderful. And things, like, did I go to that 1993 flower essence therapy conference? No. But bank statements, other interesting things. So I'm trying to, the task that I want to set myself is to find one of the bookmarked recipes in my many cookbooks and find something that will align with the disparate ingredients I have at home, and to do that. So yeah, we're talking about analog off-screen activities to do, particularly keeping in mind with Easter coming, and you may be able to get supplies as well to do things. So we talked about crafting. What about drawing? And for my tip for, oh, hello, Jeff Hobbs and the Hobbs gang. How beautiful to see you. Thanks for joining us. So what I'm talking about are off-screen, old school, analog things to do in our downtime when we're not working. Particularly in mind that Easter's coming up, and that'd be a really good time to be a bit screen-free and not kind of have meetings all the time with socially. So one thing, since we've got the whole family there, one thing I was going to suggest is maybe doing a picnic at home. So if you've got a backyard, and there's must be at least one nice day over Easter for those in Victoria or New Zealand, is to put out the rug, put out some, make some picnic food, do it in your backyard, or for those who are solo and only got a balcony, make a really nice little picnic bitty lunch to have outside on a sunny day. I would also suggest, so we're talking about drawing, but for people like me who believe we can't draw, my way into that visual creativity is through collage. It's something I've just always done, and to me it kind of helps me get into a meditative state. There are less magazines in my life, I've got to say, and sometimes it's getting really creative with what bits of paper that I can find in my house and augment with, say, watercolour paints or textures or whatever else. But to get a bit messy and to do something visual. The other thing that we're seeing quite a bit of now on screens, which we're not going to do on screens, but is families and individuals getting really, really creative with music and with singing. So perhaps if you have any musical instruments at home, this is the time to pull out that guitar, that ukulele, to improvise some drums with some kitchen equipment, to beat out a rhythm, or just to sing. And if you're home alone, no one else can hear it. So to sing, to make music, so we're drawing, we're making food, we're discovering our old books. For those who didn't see before, I'm just going to work through some of the earmarked recipes that I earmarked probably back in 1991 when I bought this cookbook. Things with the plants, so what I did this weekend was move the plants around so they get more sun, did a bit of deadheading, a little bit of feeding the plants. If you've got a garden, fantastic, perfect time to nourish. Going into autumn, and those in temperate climates, like in Sydney, it's amazing. I can grow things at this time of year that I call, it was a bit harder to grow in Melbourne. But if you want to make your garden fallow for a while, then it's time to feed, it's time to nurture. And I think this is what we're talking about on a human level as well going into autumn. We're stocking up on what we need so that we can have downtime, so we can have rest. So some other, my other favourite analogue activity, old school activity, is to write with a pen and paper and a journal. Very, very excited. I'm getting a new journal stash from Officeworks delivered hopefully today or tomorrow, so I can write up a storm. So Helen's going to craft and garden. Are you going to weave, Helen? You've got some weaving equipment, but it's a really good time to be inventive and creative and to consider ways that we can have fun off our computers, except for at 1 o'clock on weekdays when you pop by to say hello. So it's really lovely to see you all today, especially some newbies to the lives. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day. Move your body, have a rest, and to do some dreaming, because we're going into dreaming season. I'll see you again tomorrow at 1 Sydney time for another quick live. Until then, stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Oh, don't forget, you can actually catch up on the previous Facebook Lives on my YouTube page, YouTube channel. So just Google Jill Stunner Naturopath on YouTube.